stuff. Let's talk about this latest tea on Rob Reiner. So, investigators are literally, as we knew what was going to happen after all this story came out regarding Rob Reiner and his unfortunate death and his wife as well being unalived at the hands of their own child. Someone they created literally just took their life. Um, Insiders are now revealing disturbing details about how they were taken out of the world. And you already know, like, with all the information and stuff that was coming out, that people were going to be taking a deep dive and digging into the investigation and trying to find out what had happened. So let's get into that story. Did I forget to put? Yes, I did. Hold on, because I forgot to take that picture and put it up. I was like, how I forget to do that? That was supposed to be the first thing I did. But this is what happens when you be rushing, trying to put a show together. That's not the one I want to use. This one. Okay, we're good. So let's get into it, okay? So Rob Reiner and his wife Michele were found in bed with their throats cut and may have been asleep when they were unalived. That ain't the word they use. They use the M word. Red rum. A source close to the investigation claimed to the Daily Mail. The gruesome detail could help establish a timeline of the killings for which the couple's 32-year-old son, or their troubled son, Nick, had been arrested. The Reiners died sometime between Saturday evening, when Nick was seen acting erratically and arguing loudly with his parents at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, and around 3:30 p.m. on Sunday, excuse me, when their daughter Romy called 911 after having discovered their bodies at the family's LA mansion. Quote, he could have done it not long after they all went home, meaning he went there and slit their throats in the middle of the night. They were in bed when that happened. That's why I said I agree that's what happened, because I'm sitting there like, if I get into an altercation with a family member and I'm so enraged and I got all these things going through my mind, I'm pissed off because we had this heated argument, and it was probably because the parents was tired of your bullshit. It's like, you know what, we've been trying to get you clean, we've been trying to help you, we've been, and basically, low-key enabling his behavior, and he knew it, and you basically was just so enraged that your pussy ass behind decided to wait until your parents slept so you can commit the crime, because you ain't had the balls to do it while they was wide awake. Now, it do take nerve and balls to kill somebody when they're awake, rather than, I'm gonna wait till they sleep and then I'm gonna do it. When someone's at their most vulnerable, and using a knife on someone, not only is that vulnerable to do it while they're asleep, because there's no way for them to defend themselves, but um, using a knife on someone is very intimate compared to, like, say a pow pow. So the LAPD has not officially confirmed any details to where in the house the Reiners' bodies were found. Well, they said it was in the bed. I mean, so couldn't it have been in a bedroom, or were they sleeping in some other part of the house? Or it's like, oh, I can't be sleeping in my bed because I got sleep apnea or whatever. So I go, or my wife says I snore loud, so I sleep in the guest room or whatever. Like, maybe it's something like that. But, or because, as I've said it many a times before, I'm all for separate bedrooms. Like, we could live in the same house, but I do like the idea of, you got your room, I got mine. So we have all our separate stuff. And if we need to come together and get a little yum yum bouncy bouncy in, then yeah, we can come collectively in the same bed and do that. Or any other part of the house. But for the most part, I would prefer my own bedroom, with, of course, my own bathroom. So they said, but the claim that his parents was found unalive in the bed could suggest a small mercy in the tragic incident, that they may have been killed in their sleep. TMZ first reported that Reiner, who's 78, had a very loud argument with his son at O'Brien's holiday bash on Sunday night, after which the legendary movie director and his wife left. One partygoer told People magazine that Nick was freaking everyone out, acting crazy, kept asking people if they were famous. Fears for the Reiner's safety were only raised when a masseuse arrived at the $13.5 million mansion in the Brentwood district of LA at 2 p.m. the next day, and no one answered the door. This is what the Daily Mail previously revealed. Their 27-year-old daughter, Rami, who lives across the street, then reportedly investigated and called emergency services when she discovered the horrific scene. The LA Fire Department says first responders were called to the Reiner home around 3:30 p.m. on Sunday and tried to render aid to the stabbed couple to no avail. Nick, one of the Reiner's three children, had been living in the mansion's guest house, a source close to him told the Daily Mail. Nick had been living in their guest house, the same one he destroyed more than once, but it had been like a revolving door all his adult life. He would do meth and not sleep for days and then have outbursts, breaking things, punching walls. I remember, hold on, before we get to the rest of the story, I remember hearing a story. Oh, who it was? Somebody might have been on this channel yesterday that they went and said that they believe that because I was like, he was talking about how he would stay up days on end and how he would be freaking out and he would just destroy things. And I definitely think that's a meth binge. It just didn't click in my head at the time. But um based on I don't remember who it was, but somebody said that it might have been due to, them being a Methodist. And it turns out y'all was right. So whoever said that in yesterday's show, shout out to y'all. But anyway, let's get back into the article. So they say he was a ticking time bomb. His drug use was getting worse, and his parents wanted him out. Claims the friend. Nick himself admitted to wrecking the guest house in a drug-fueled rage in a 2018 interview on addiction podcast Dopey. And child, not y'all naming an addiction podcast Dopey. I'm like, what are y'all doing? But anyway, um. There was something else I was going to add to that, but I'm just like, let's move on. There was another picture I found of him. Look, they posted this picture of him like out literally on the street, homeless. Clearly, you look at him and see he's on something. Might be the meth, and that's a prominent drug if you ever been out in LA. And trust and believe, I worked in downtown LA, and you literally have to go to Skid Row to get to the place that I was working at the time. And it was just a sad sight to see. It was just blocks upon blocks upon blocks of homeless people. So they said, he said, I started with the TV and then I went over to the lamp and then progressively just everything in the guest house got wrecked. He told host David Mannheim, adding that he was spun out on uppers like booger sugar. A witness told TMZ he appeared tweaked out, though no signs of a confrontation. But when staff went to clean his room later that morning, the shower was full of blood with blood stains on the bed and bed sheets covered the windows. LAPD homicide detectives have investigated and interviewed hotel workers, the site reported. The director's son was then arrested at 9:15 p.m. on Sunday night, according to his booking record. He was picked up about 15 miles away from the Brentwood home near a metro station and the University of Southern California. Not the metro station, the University, because I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute now. Now I feel like when they said near a metro station in the University of Southern California campus, I feel like I've been over in that area when I lived out in LA. So it's like it's all sounding familiar. But anyway, let me get back to the story. He says he's currently in the Twin Towers, not the Twin Towers, correctional facility in downtown LA and had been expected to appear in court on Tuesday. However, his attorney, Alan Jackson, said he has not been medically cleared to appear. Well, I'm also hearing that they're really trying to push for the death penalty with him. They said it's customary for a defendant to be arraigned at their first court appearance where they are advised of the charges against them. They are given the opportunity to enter a plea and bail can be discussed. I don't think it's getting bail. That was marrying here. Didn't they say like 8 million, 4 million, something like that they were going to put it out on? I don't know where he getting that money from because his parents is dead. The very people that were bailing him out every time whenever he was going through whatever the hell he was going through. Your bank tellers, the people that ran your little bank account, your parents who basically was taking care of you, sir, you done killed them. So you're gonna be stuck where you at. And I don't even think he's ever getting out of prison. But then, like I said before, they're pushing for the death penalty with him because Rob Shooter posted this today. Shout out to him. He says sources tell me prosecutors are leaning forward hard, framing the Nick Reiner case a capital crime after the brutal double unaliving of Rob Reiner and his wife Michele. Hollywood is stunned, furious, and yes, divided. And yeah, because I even saw that like everybody in the comedy space, late night, last night, everybody paid tribute to Rob Reiner. Even Jimmy Kimmel came out and said something, but also went in and basically scalped what's left of the hair on top of his head, Donald Trump. from over the vile stuff that he ended up saying, which he's doubling down on. But of course, when you've got a serious case of Alzheimer's and any kind of impulse control goes away, allegedly, this is what happens. You're going to double down on your stupidity. So they said this wasn't just a crime, it was a betrayal. One industry insider fumes to me. People want the strongest possible punishment. They want the book thrown. I'm told the prosecution sees the special circumstances of a double homicide as their opening. Even in death penalty averse California, insiders say they're aiming high to signal just how serious this is, saying they're pushing death penalty language to send a message, a legal source tells me. The case shocked the city. But not everyone is cheering. It said it feels wrong, especially knowing Rob spent decades opposing capital punishment. He believed it was immoral. This would break his heart. Yeah, because one of the things about that people, I guess, may not know about Rob Reiner is that, yes, he was very much iconic within the film and the TV world. Like, I think anybody who is 40 and up grew up on Rob Reiner. And even from All in the Family, which of course would be probably people in their 50s and up. But I was aware of All in the Family because, like I said, I wasn't born yet when the show came out, but I was aware of the reruns and seeing all those shows, The Jeffersons, Good Times, Maude, all those shows. I remember seeing reruns of those when I was a kid. So I was aware of All in the Family and him being on the show playing Mike Meathead, which is what um, Carol O'Connor called him, his character, Archie Bunker called him that on the show. So, and then going from that to like directing some of my favorite movies, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, this is Spinal Tap. Like when he's directed, and I think he did direct the new one that came out, which I heard wasn't that great. I remember when I went to the movies to see other films, I would see advertisements for it. But other than that, I was like, yeah, I heard the new sequel didn't do all that well, but people adore the first one. So Rob Reiner is an icon, of course, when Harry Met Sally. So many great movies that he's directed over the years, and him being married to Penny Marshall and so many other things. And now he's always been pretty much an activist, pushing hard for same-sex marriage and that sort of thing. So he's been a real one out in these streets, like being an activist on the same level as like a Jane Fonda or something. So if he would be totally against this, just say, like, you know what? Just leave his ass in jail and never let him out. Kind of like the Menendez brothers. Just leave him in prison and for life. Because for somebody to do something so immoral and kill their parents, especially when people have nothing but the nicest things to say about Rob Reiner and his wife. Like, and that's the worst thing too. Like people who do so good, so many great things in the world, they end up being taken out early. They ended up they end up with some of the most horrific things happening to them. And they've done so much good in the world. And then we get people who do some of the most vile, disgusting things, and they're still here. Why? I'm sure you can read between the lines with what I'm saying without me actually saying it. So that way I get in trouble. But y'all know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying, I think you do. But anyway, so I understand people are angry, but this is not something for y'all to be angry about. If anybody who needs to be angry, it's Rami because her brother took out her mother and her father. So she literally is on this earth by herself. Her brother's in jail for killing her parents. So she's literally out here alone and having to deal with this trauma, the trauma of seeing her parents dead and her brother being the one that did it. So I can only imagine what she's going through right now. So I think people need to get off of that. Now, moving on from that, and then we can move on from this story. Let's get into speaking of talk shows and things. Michelle Obama appeared on one of the talk shows last night and revealed something that had me gagged. So basically, wait, hold on, let me close this and then because I don't want to have too many windows open. Okay, so she revealed, well, speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, she did appear on Jimmy Kimmel's show last night, and she said that she and Barack were supposed to meet Rob and Michelle on Sunday night before hearing that the couple had been found dead in their house. I would play out a clip, but it's ABC. I don't want to get demonetized. So I'm gonna just read y'all what she had to say. She said, "We've known them for many, many years, and we were supposed to be seeing them that night, last night. And the show came in on Monday, and we got the news. Rob and Michelle Reiner were found, as y'all know. Well, we don't need to go through this again. There was an outpouring of shout for from Hollywood in the death of the legendary director who helmed The Princess Bride and When Harry Met Sally and his wife, a celebrated photographer and producer. However, the asshole in the White House took to Lie Social to say that Rob Reiner, a harsh critic of the president, had died due to anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable obsession with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. Well, the only one we know is deranged is the one that wrote this damn post on live social. So, it's funny how people were just upset over what Trump said, and oh, I can't believe he was stupid. I'm like, there is no low. This man won't stoop. If it's the bottom of the sewer, he will find a way to stoop lower than that. If it's full of shit and swill. So I don't know why people are surprised that Donald Trump is showing his entire ass. The man has never had tact. He's never had couth. He's never actually cared about anyone but himself. He's a narcissistic, psychopathic moron who everything he touches turns to manure, not gold. So why are people surprised by this? And if you were ever expecting this man to be presidential, then I got $4 billion that I could just give you off rip. So um Jimmy Kimmel did say this because he did say it in his monologue. So I'll just read that and then we'll move on. So it said, "It's so hateful and vile." This is what he said of the post. "When I first saw it, I thought it was fake. My wife showed it to me this morning. I was like, even for him, that seemed like too much. But nothing is ever too much for him." Literally what I just said. I'm like, there's no low. This man won't stoop. And yeah, there has been quite a few people that were doing stories on this yesterday that were saying, "I don't think he said that. That's a lie. That's AI. That's fake." No, whenever this man comes out and says something, you would think that it would be some AI type mess, but it's like, no, this man proves to you just how much of a loser and a lunatic he is. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the latest? I'm sure, of course, because it's still a relatively new situation. This will be a conversation that will be going on and on and on and on and on for a while. So I'm gonna just let the legal people do what they do, and whatever latest news comes out on this, I will keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops. In the meantime, I definitely want to hear from you all regarding this story. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below.